Welcome. It's 11 o'clock here in Phoenix, so I'm going to get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Thank you so much for joining me today to discuss this topic, using Matterport to market your place of business. This webinar is for those who would like to use ATG as a service provider using Matterport, or those looking to do it themselves. Relatively speaking, Matterport has a low cost of entry and can even be used with your phone in some cases, which I'll cover a little more later. So today I'm speaking more specifically on marketing a place of business. Normally at ATG, we're talking about using scanners for architecture, engineers, and construction. And I'm going to shift slightly to marketing places like retail spaces or studio businesses like gyms or salons. Basically places where the products and the equipment and the layout is important and something that would want to be shared. I'm going to finish up with a case study example of a small studio gym that's open now during COVID restrictions, and how we're using Matterport to convey certain information to help keep the client safe and comfortable. A little bit about myself. My name is David McQuillan. I'm a senior reality capture specialist here at ATG USA on the reality capture team. I'm located in Phoenix with the majority of our team here in Phoenix, but we also have another member in Little Rock, Arkansas, where our headquarters is at. I've been doing reality capture for a little over 6 years now, specifically using drones and LiDAR. For those of you who don't know what reality capture is, basically we just use specialized pieces of equipment that either utilize photography or LiDAR or both in a lot of cases. And we go to either the inside of a building or whatever, or the outside, and create what we like to call a digital twin. And what I really like about that is it basically, now that you have it in a digital format, you can manipulate it, change it, add it, draw on it. Really just kind of creates like a digital or virtual playground. It's also just a great visualization tool utilizing reality capture. If you have questions, you can put it in the chat, or you can also email me directly there. My email is dmcquillan@atgusa.com, or also email yatg@atgusa.com. YouTube. So the techs at ATG all produce a ton of content. So if you end up missing the sound of my voice after this, you can go and find many of the videos that I've made in here. As you can see, the topics do vary quite a bit. And so we got reality capture, Hive, Dynamo, Esri, Revit, BIM Project Suite, Bluebeam, a ton of different stuff. And I also want to point out there real quick, right in the middle there, the ATG Tech Talk. So, this is more of a long form webinar. It'll be about 50 minutes long, but those Tech Talks videos are kind of between 3 to 6 minutes and over a wide variety of topics. So if you just are looking for basically a shorter way to digest information, those Tech Talk videos is a great resource. So like I said, we produce a ton of content. We usually post it on our LinkedIn pages, on YouTube, like I mentioned, and also on our website. So tons of stuff coming out pretty much daily. So go ahead and check that out when you can. I want to point out our computer hardware partner, BIMbox. BIMbox is made specifically for those working in the AEC industry. All the techs here at ATG use one. And if you're using Autodesk products or registering LiDAR scans together, or processing photogrammetry from drones, etc. These machines made by Binbox are made to specifically handle those types of intensive work and jobs. Little fun fact is our reality capture team has used one of these desktop devices. They also have laptops, but we use one of these desktop devices to register, I think, over maybe about 1.5 TB worth of scan data, which is a single project, very large building. So kind of tells you the power that these things have. I'm going to highlight our hardware and software partners. So first of all, we have Matterport. When I say Matterport, it means a couple different things, right? So first of all, it's the camera or scanner, the Pro 2. So that's the hardware. And then it's also the My Matterport, which is basically where the data gets uploaded and what hosts the virtual tours. And it's also the Matterport collection app. A lot of people may not know this, but the Matterport also syncs and works with the BLK360 made by Leica Geosystems. So I'll be covering basically both these pieces of hardware in this presentation today. So the mission or goal of this presentation is to show you that you can use the Matterport to market your place of business through 3D virtual tours and the display of specific information. And our agenda is that I'll be covering the hardware features of the Matterport scanner and the BLK360 scanner. I'll be explaining and showing how to collect data with the Matterport collection app, how to upload it, and how to show the features and tools on the My Matterport webpage, and then finish up with a real case study of a studio gym open during COVID-19 restrictions. So here is the Matterport Pro 2 camera. It's perfect for anything from simple residential to complicated commercial spaces. It has a high speed of capture, about 30 seconds. So it's like 30 seconds per scan. The dimensional accuracy is within 1% of actual. So let's say if you had a measurement that was 300 centimeters long, the error would be about 3 centimeters. Stunning image quality, and you'll see live examples of that. And the lenses, if you see there on the right, are the RGB, and the left are the infrared, which I'll get into a little bit later. Next is the Leica-made BLK360. So the big difference really here is with whether you use the Matterport Pro 2 camera or the Leica BLK360, is the BLK360 has a higher dimension, has a higher accuracy. Basically, it uses LiDAR instead of infrared light, and so the accuracy is much higher. Another big difference is that because the Matterport Pro 2 camera uses the infrared light, it is susceptible to infrared light pollution, which is basically natural light. And so if you're going to be doing a lot of scans outside, I would also recommend using Leica BLK360 because it utilizes LiDAR. So the reason why I want to bring this up is many of the people that may be watching this, maybe they already have a BLK360, but they like the way that Matterport, the My Matterport conveys the virtual tours. But you can use the BLK360 with that. But if you have the Matterport collection app on your Android, it will not sync with the BLK360. So you're going to need an iPad for that. Okay, so before I go into my demo of the collection app, I just want to point out a couple things. You can get it directly off the App Store, the Apple App Store, or the Google Play Store. It can work with the iPhone 6 or newer. It can also work with. There's a variety of 360-degree cameras out there. It can work with the Pro 2, like I mentioned. It can work with the BLK360. But the reason why I bring up the phone is because if you watch this and you're interested and you want to get, sort of dip your toe into it, the plans range from number of active spaces and users, including the free one. So there's also the free one has one active space, and if you have an iPhone already, you could try it out. Obviously, the iPhone won't be as accurate as the other ones that I mentioned, but still be a good tool to sort of dip your toe in, like I said. Quick tips here. If you are using the collection app, you're going to want to use your scan distance about 6 feet. The directions are 5 to 8, but I think 6 is the right number there. It does have a little bit of issue with IR light pollution, especially if you're outside. And if you are having trouble registering scans, there is a function called that you can turn on called assisted alignment, and you can put up unique QR codes printed on paper, like on the walls or something, and that basically helps the scan registration in the Matterport collection app by giving it something kind of unique to attach onto. Now I'm going to hop into my video of collecting data.
Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to set up and operate the Matterport camera to scan the interior of a building. So first we have our tripod here. I like to bring the tripod up to about where the level where the camera would be at chest height. So I have that here now. Also want to note that there's a slide up here at the top where we're going to loosen and then go ahead and connect the camera here.
Just want to mention right here, you should be hearing audio from this video, so if you're not, please let me know.
Tighten that up. So now the camera is about chest height. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. This power button here, the other button is to check your battery level. So as we can see, it's booting up and the battery level is full. I don't know if you can see it here, but for a second, these lenses here is where the infrared light emits. So I'm actually seeing some red light coming out of those. You can see it there for a second. Then these are your RGB cameras over here. So your infrared for doing basically more measurements and spatial analysis. And then over here is your cameras. Alright, now that we've got the equipment set up, let's go ahead and connect it to the iPad. So this also works with Android devices, but right now I have an iPad Pro, so I'm going to go ahead and just go to my Wi-Fi settings. And select Matterport under my Wi-Fi. Connected. And then the rest of this I'm going to go ahead and just connect the view screen to my iPad so you can see that more closely.
Okay, so now that I've shown you how to set up the equipment, I'm going to show you the iPad here. And it would be nice to be able to connect the iPad to both Matterport and the internet at the same time, but that's not what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and change my view here. So the first thing is that now that we have the Matterport on, we're just going to go ahead to the Wi-Fi settings and then to Matterport. Right, now that we're connected, and come here to the home screen. And the first thing I'm going to do is just verify that I'm plugged in or logged in here. I'm going to go over here to new project. You can give it a name and address, but we can also fill in all that information later. So just give it a quick name here. All right, so we're given a blank screen.
And the first thing we can do is just start scanning. So you can see the infrared light working there. It'll rotate. That took about 25-30 seconds. And now over here, we see that it's transferring. And then now it shows up in the model. Okay, now that we've done a single scan, I'd like to point out a couple things here. First, the most important is the void areas. And so if we are doing a complete scan of this room, we want to do multiple scan locations in order to fill those voids. I'm showing here. Now, unfortunately, because my office has also become the storage room, I can't get back into those spaces right now. Otherwise, I would fill those in. But generally speaking, the process is while you scan, the infrared light is used to create a mesh model which works behind the photos, which is why you're going to want a complete scan of the room that you're in. I want to show you a couple tools here. Down here, we have a tool to mark a mirror, doors and windows, and to trim your model. So because I have a window here, I'll just go ahead and mark that by selecting the window and then just dragging where that window is. And I'm going to click on the icon and do swap label because my inside is now pointed in the right direction. Okay. Now my next scan location is going to be between 5 to 8 feet. I think the best results are within 6 feet of the previous scan. So I'm just going to go ahead and move my tripod. Oops. Just a little bit further here. And start the scan again. So as you can see, we have the progress bar going on our scan button. And we'll see here in just a moment. Finishing the scan. It's okay to move camera. So that was a message we got before the transfer button. So you can actually continue to scan. So we got no alignment, scanned again to previous location. So a couple of things can cause that. One would be I was too far. The registration that happens in the Matterport app is very dependent on the scan before it. So you don't want to move too far from one location to the next. And also what's called infrared light pollution, which is basically natural light coming in. So another thing to consider while moving through your space is, you know, how much other infrared light you're going to have that could be interfering with the scan. So I've done a couple more scans in my space there. I want to add a couple quick tips. One is that number 3 scan in the doorway. So basically, you do 50% inside one room and 50% on the side of the other room to help tie those scans together. And another one is try not to be in the scan or move while you're in the scan, because like I said, that infrared light is going to be making the mesh models, and if there's a lot of movement, it'll be hard to register those scans together. Another way you can help avoid that is just to move far enough away that the distance from the infrared won't capture you. So before we move on to editing the 3D space in the My Matterport on your desktop or basically on the web, I want to show you a couple more things here. One is that there's an options button above your scan button, and that's where you can choose to do a 360 capture. In the 360 capture, what's different between that and 3D scan is the 3D scan, again, is using that infrared light. And the 360 capture is just using the RGB cameras. So this is a good tool to use if you're, let's say, outside or just basically aren't able to register your scans based on like the mesh creation, but you still want to get the 3D or the space in 360. Another one down here is if you are working on multiple floors, you can add another floor and then basically start putting those scans together on that floor. And so it'll be separated when you're on the My Matterport or when your customers will be looking at your spaces. You can also select the scan and you can move it to that new floor that you made if that's on a different floor itself. And you can also do a preview in the 360 camera as well and delete the scan if you want to redo it. So now that we're happy with that, again, at the beginning of this, I made sure that that I was logged in under this Matterport Capture app. So if I press upload, you're going to see that there's no internet connection. That's because we're currently connected to the Matterport. So I'd have to just go back here into Wi-Fi. So it's just giving you a little warning message that you can make more marks here on the collection app, such as the windows or the mirrors, or you can upload without them and just do them later on. So I'm going to go ahead and just press cancel with this so I don't have to upload this. I'm going to show you a different space when we go into My Matterport. Thank you.
All right, that was how to collect using the Matterport. I just want to show you real quick. I did some testing with the BLK360, so just want to show you the results of that. So still really good image quality. Show you some of the meshing that's happening behind it. So it's really good meshing. Probably a little more complex meshing happening from the BLK360, but really it looks pretty identical to the Matterport Pro 2 camera. And so what that tells me is that there's really not a whole lot of difference when you're working in similar small spaces, but probably the difference happens again, like I mentioned, if you're outside or if you're working with larger spaces, things like that. So now I'll go ahead and show you how to use the Matterport. My Matterport, which is basically the interface of all the places that you used the Matterport collection app. So this is basically where the data gets uploaded and then processed and presented, and it's where you can make some edits and also publish to the public or to the client or whoever. So first I'm going to show you some of the editing tools and some basic navigation through this website. So I'm going to click on this one, Southwest Home. This is the project that I'll be editing here. So let's hop into edit. We're just going to sort of run through some of these options that you have. And I think when I explain the options and what they can do, then it'll help understand what the potential customer would be viewing as well. So first thing, I want to go over a couple of views here. Every time you see one of these discs on the ground, this is where a scan location was. So right now we're in the first sort of virtual tour view, and we can hop around by clicking on the discs here with our mouse, and we can also move kind of like a video game with a WASD, so I can sort of move around, use my mouse to move through the space, sort of rotate here. And if I didn't want to use the mouse at all, I can use the counter part of that, which is I, K, L, and J to navigate as well. So basically just use the keyboard. So I'm just using the keyboard now here. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to choose is the start location. So right now I'm on one of those discs, so I can move to another disc, and I can just choose set here. So I can move up to another one. So we can decide that this is our start location. We can preview it. The start location, yep, so basically when a customer opens up the model, it'll kind of do that zoomed out view and then moved into this start location, like so. So we can do set there. But if you wanted to basically have a more look around before just deciding on this, a good way to look at it would be either going into the dollhouse view or the floor plan view. So that way we can get sort of like a bigger idea. Let's just set that one off of it, and then maybe we change our idea. We like this spot in the kitchen. Let's move over here. And then now start location, click to preview. Set, go. So the start location is important because it's obviously where when somebody opens up the virtual tour, it's where the first place it's going to take them to. It's also going to do that zoomed out view first, but it's also going to be the thumbnail of the project. So let's say the person hasn't opened up the model yet. That'll be sort of the first view that they'll see. Okay. Now let's turn on these the next tool here, 3D scans. So again, shows the discs, but now the discs are numbered, and that's because we can go over here and say, okay, well, we don't particularly like, so we got 20 and 55 right here. We don't really need two right next to each other. So we can just turn off one of those. You can also use it to hop around. So continue to move through here. Now this 360 view tool, which is next, is I only have one that I took while I was collecting data. So it's a decision you make while you're out in the field to not do a 3D scan. Instead, you're doing a 360 view. And so I covered that earlier. Basically, the 360 view doesn't use any of the infrared light. It just does 360-degree photography with those RGB lenses there. So probably the best idea to use those outside if you can get your scans to register together. Next one is photos. So sort of depending on what view you're in, we could take a photo here and then it will be added later, which I can show you here towards the end. But you know, or we could hop back into this view and just use our mouse wheel, get something specific. So, you know, let's say we're in retail or real estate and there was just a specific feature we wanted to show. Could use this camera view, but you know, you can also use it in the dollhouse. So you kind of just wanted a specific picture how this bedroom is laid out with the bathroom and such. You could take a picture here as well. And these are all being saved to a location, like I said, which I'll show you here in a little bit. One more picture option, which I'll show you here. Let's hop into something more like in the courtyard here. Is now we can change it from just the basic 2D photo to a panoramic photo. There we go. So now that basically just saved a 360-degree photo all by itself. So the next function is labels. And this is really more specifically for the floor plan view. I'm gonna click on that. Sort of quickly identify areas. Go. Add a couple more. So really beneficial, you know, especially if somebody has never been to this space before. You know, let's use a fitness gym or a studio space, for example. Somebody kind of want to be more familiar with where certain machines were or where the bathroom was, something like that. You can quickly add these informational tags. I'd like to note that we have quite a bit of people here in this space, and what's nice is the faces are blurred out. So that's a function you can turn on to basically do automatic face blurring. And they are, I believe it's in beta right now, but they're adding an additional blurring tool. So let's say if you had photographs or security systems or something, you could also blur those out in my Matterport. Next one I'll show you is measurements. Oops, back that up again. Okay. So what's interesting about that is it was the measurement was snapping to a specific dimension, right? So this is snapping to the edge of the desk, basically where this cabinet comes up on the other side. And then also want to add that the measurements are specific to the view. So if we were to hop into the floor plan view or the the dollhouse view, the measurements that we took in one of the other ones wouldn't exist, at least visually wouldn't exist. And then also, I didn't show you, but in the camera option, you can also choose if you want to have the measurements or the tags and things, the informational tags, be included in the picture that you're taking. So that might be really useful, especially if you're trying to share this information with a contractor of some sort that there's specific clearance, let's say, for this courtyard here or something. Also, another good thing for a contractor is while you're in here, you can just press the U button on your keyboard, and it'll provide a link to this specific view. So instead of giving access to someone to this virtual tour and say, hey, go to the northwest corner of this courtyard, you can just go to that specific view yourself and then send them that link to that specific one. And it also has a shortened URL here, which I suggest you use. So this next button is what I find really important, especially in the marketing your place of business, and that is the matter tag. And I'll go over a lot of examples of these in the use case towards the end of my presentation here. But it's just a really smart way to basically convey information. For this example, I'll just make something up real quick. So that could be just a quick message that you're sending to somebody, is that this is the pile of the trim that we wanted you to install today. It's 4,000 linear feet, so do what you can with that. You can change the color and the height as well, which I think it's important. If your scans were around chest height, I think the matter tags should also be around chest height. That's usually what I do. It's right there so you can see them. You can also add a link or other media, like a picture or something like that, to this. So again, just other good ways. Let's say if this was something was for sale, you could add a link to that on the marketplace or something. So there's basically two. On the next tool I'm going to go to is this highlight reel, and there's basically two areas where somebody visiting this site could view pictures. One is the photos area, which is basically when we're using this camera tool, what fed that. And then there's also this highlight reel. So again, just another way to show off your space there. And then the next one is a VR path, which is going away. What I've heard, and that's basically because the VR devices, like the Oculus or something, is powerful enough that you can basically walk through the space by just going to the URL of this space inside of the Oculus platform. So you don't need some sort of separate VR information saved. Somebody just simply goes to the site and navigates through it. So you can do a quick preview, go back to edit, and then here's your publish, which is basically now all the changes that we've made have now been saved and they're published online. So effectively, this is, we wouldn't want to publish unless we were ready for the public to view, or whoever was supposed to view is ready to view that. So here's the other media options I wanted to show you here. So it's a showcase, which is what we're on now. That's what we just went through. Here's the additional photos that we took, and specifically the 360-degree photos. So we're getting basically all sides of that. And then also you can download any of these photos. So let's say if somebody doesn't want to use Matterport, you can just use it to generate these photos, download them, and then share them. The videos are automatically made, and so that's kind of an interesting thing. Matterport, knowing that these would be valuable tools, they just sort of, while the data is processing, they just make these videos for you. And then there's these additional tools like the floor plan and the matter pack, which will basically try to create like CAD drawings or something. Somebody that was more using this for like construction purposes, or just really just wanted a floor plan drawing, I guess. Details, we can put in the address, who we want to be visible. You can even upload it to like real estate listings. Statistics are basically, how many people have visited this site or tour. And then again, like I was saying, you could publish it to real estate websites or even just to Street View and things. So yeah, those are the tools on how to use the My Matterport. And I'll follow this up with a case study example of a studio fitness business. All right, so now I'd just like to show you that the case study. So here we are. So it's a studio fitness gym, small business owner wants competitive edge to her competitors, perfect for Matterport because the owner wants to convey the quality of the equipment, the layout, and also information to keep her customers informed and comfortable in the space. I did an interview with her, And so I'll just sort of go through some of these questions that I had. So what are your media impressions? She said it's better than I anticipated. I think when I was explaining it to her, it was like it's 360 camera. And so she thought, okay, well, I can just sort of hop to a couple places where there's some photos taken. She wasn't really expecting that it was going to be like a full-on tour. She said it makes it feel like a high-end facility with the walkthrough, like we're an outlier above our competitors. And I asked, what do you think a tool like this communicates to your customers? She said the awareness is heightened. The COVID-19 is what you're saying, restrictions. So people are seeking out places that respect the safety of the current regulations. The Matterport shows the changes that we've made, the efforts that they've put in to help keep people safe. And, our clients, our health and well-being is our greatest concern. Typically, we just have pictures, which is hard to capture the cleanliness, the familiarity. So, the Matterport definitely helps convey those messages a little bit better, that it clearly shows the equipment, the cleanliness, and the conveniences that we have. And then what do you find most valuable? Well, she said that she wants the new customers or potential customers to feel more familiar with the space, and that, there's always apprehension and fear of starting a new workout program or going to a new place to work out. And so this tool helps it make it more painless because it eases the anxiety of a new space. And I'm gonna go ahead and just go to their website. So this is the business website, and this is really the type of deliverable that we could do, is give you something that you could uh, integrate into your business website. I'm gonna scroll down here and show you the tour of their space. So I had that nice, starting position that I covered earlier. It also has the floor plan view showing, the office, that there's a locker room area with bathrooms. This is where the Pilates area is. This is where the HIIT, high intensity interval training area is, the front desks, things like that. But I think the real power and the thing that I really wanted to show you is the matter tag. So, she really wanted to convey to her potential customers that they're making efforts to keep people safe during the COVID-19 restrictions, and also convey, information about the space that they're in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cover a couple of these. Welcome. We observe all recommended safety precautions, including contactless check-in, social distancing, sanitation stations, and designated workout areas. So we can hop over here to one of the workout areas. It says, this is our designated workout spaces for our HIIT area. This is where all TriCore classes start with 30 minutes of functional training. Each member has a designated workout space. So that's what this grid is here on the floor, is that, everybody has their own social distance area that they can work out with, so they can feel safe. Another one here is the body reformers. All classes include active recovery on the Pilates reformer. We also have hour-long Pilates reformer classes. All reformers are safely distanced according to CDC recommendations. And here's outdoor workout area. Classes are separated to indoor and outdoor workout space to ensure safe distancing. Outdoor space includes artificial turf, misters, TRX bands, and tires. So what I really wanted to show you here is this is a perfect example of somebody using scanners, or specifically the Matterport platform, to market their business, one with information about what they do, but also to help get new customers, because it's also informing them that they're making efforts to keep people safe and comfortable and familiar with their area. And yeah, that concludes my presentation on using the Matterport to market your business. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please let us know. I'll stay on here for another minute, but otherwise, that's it. So I appreciate you all coming, and have a good rest of your day.